Now, the election day turned into complete chaos in Tanzania as hundreds took to the streets protesting the exclusion of President Samia Suluhu Hassan's two biggest rivals from the presidential race. Now, according to reports, protests broke out in Tanzania's main city of Dar es Salaam and several other cities on polling day. The police reportedly fired gunshots and tear gas to disperse the protesters, with unconfirmed reports of several people being dead.
Now to Tanzania, where police have imposed an evening curfew in the main city, Dar es Salaam, after protesters tore down banners supporting the president and burned a police station after general elections. There are 17 presidential candidates, but incumbent Samia Suluhu Hassan of the ruling CCM party is expected to win easily. Her main challengers have been either barred from standing in the election or jailed. Her strongest opponent's on trial for treason, potentially facing the death penalty.
In Tanzania, a country long viewed as one of East Africa's most politically stable nations, a new and powerful force is making itself heard. Across cities, universities, and online platforms, young people are increasingly challenging authority, questioning long-standing political norms, and demanding a greater say in their country's future. For a nation whose political culture has traditionally emphasized order, unity, and deference to leadership, this shift is striking. And its implications extend far beyond Tanzania's borders. Over recent months, youth-led expressions of dissent, some subtle, others unmistakably public, have drawn national and international attention. While the scale and nature of these actions differ from country to country, analysts say the underlying message is clear. A new generation in Tanzania is asserting itself, and it expects to be heard. To understand the significance of this moment, it is important to examine Tanzania's political history. Since independence in 1961, Tanzania has cultivated a reputation for stability. Under its first president, Julius Nyerere, the country embraced a strong sense of national identity and social cohesion. While the one-party system limited political competition for decades, it also helped avoid the ethnic and sectarian conflicts that troubled parts of the region. Multi-party politics were introduced in the 1990s, but the ruling party, Chama cha Mapinduzi (CCM), has remained in power ever since. Successive presidents have emphasized continuity, discipline, and national unity as core values of governance. President Samia Suluhu Hassan, who took office in 2021 following the death of President John Magufuli, initially signaled a softer political tone. She lifted some restrictions on media and political activity, earning cautious praise from civil society groups and international partners. Yet for many young Tanzanians, structural challenges remain unresolved. Youth unemployment is high, the cost of living has risen. Opportunities for political participation, while improved in some respects, still feel limited to many. Social media has amplified these frustrations, providing platforms where young voices can connect, organize, and challenge narratives that once went largely uncontested. What has emerged is not a single movement, but a pattern. Students organizing discussions, young activists questioning policies. Artists, bloggers, and commentators using satire and criticism to push boundaries. And online debates that quickly spill into the public sphere. In several recent instances, youth-driven actions have appeared to directly contradict official positions or challenge presidential authority, a rare occurrence in Tanzanian political life. Government officials have been careful in their response. Public statements emphasize the importance of peace, respect, and lawful expression. Authorities insist that dissent is not being criminalized, but they also warn against what they describe as disorder, misinformation, or actions that could threaten national unity. Supporters of the government argue that Tanzania's stability must be protected. They point to conflicts elsewhere in the region as cautionary examples, warning that unchecked political agitation can lead to chaos. But critics say such arguments are increasingly unconvincing to a generation that feels excluded from decision-making. For many young Tanzanians, the issue is not confrontation for its own sake, it is representation. More than 60% of Tanzania's population is under the age of 25, yet political leadership remains dominated by older generations. Policies affecting employment, education, housing, and digital freedoms are often formulated with limited youth input. This disconnect is not unique to Tanzania, but its consequences are becoming more visible. Political analysts note that Tanzania's youth are part of a broader continental trend. From Senegal to Kenya, Nigeria to Uganda, young Africans are reshaping political conversations. They are less deferential, more connected, and more willing to question authority openly. What makes Tanzania's case particularly notable is the contrast with its past. For decades, dissent in Tanzania tended to be muted, channeled quietly through party structures or civil society. Public challenges to presidential authority were rare and often swiftly contained. Today, that restraint appears to be eroding. One factor driving this change is technology. Social media platforms have reduced barriers to participation, allowing individuals to bypass traditional gatekeepers. A single post can spark national debate. A viral video can force official responses. Another factor is education. Tanzania's expanding university system has produced a generation that is more politically aware and globally connected than any before it. Many young Tanzanians compare their circumstances not only with neighboring countries but with global standards they encounter online. Economic pressure also plays a central role. While Tanzania has recorded periods of steady growth, that growth has not translated evenly into jobs for young people. Graduates face limited opportunities. Informal employment remains widespread. Rising prices strain household budgets. In this environment, patience is thin. The government has responded with a mix of engagement and caution. Officials have held dialogues with youth representatives, promoted entrepreneurship programs, and highlighted investments in infrastructure and education. At the same time, security agencies remain alert. Laws governing public assembly and online speech are still enforced, sometimes strictly. Activists accuse authorities of selective enforcement, while officials deny targeting dissent. President Samia herself has addressed the youth question in several speeches, acknowledging their concerns while urging constructive engagement. She has emphasized that reform must occur within the framework of law and national unity. Her supporters describe her leadership as pragmatic and reform-minded, navigating a delicate balance between openness and control. Critics argue that gestures are not enough. They say young people are not simply asking to be consulted, they are demanding influence. They want clearer pathways into leadership, greater accountability, and policies that reflect their realities. The reaction beyond Tanzania has been one of close observation. Neighboring countries understand that political trends rarely stop at borders. East Africa is economically and socially interconnected. What happens in Dar es Salaam or Dodoma can resonate in Nairobi, Kampala, Kigali, and beyond. Regional analysts suggest that Tanzania's youth activism could inspire similar expressions elsewhere, or, conversely, prompt governments to tighten controls preemptively. International partners are also paying attention. Tanzania is seen as a key player in regional stability, trade, and diplomacy. Any sign of sustained internal tension raises questions about investment, development cooperation, and security partnerships. So far, international responses have been cautious. Diplomats emphasize dialogue, inclusion, and peaceful expression while avoiding direct criticism. Back home, Tanzanian society remains divided on how to interpret the moment. Some older citizens view the youth's actions as disrespectful, arguing that stability and gradual reform have served the country well. Others quietly sympathize, recognizing frustrations they themselves once felt. Religious leaders and elders have called for calm, urging dialogue over confrontation. Civil society groups stress the importance of protecting space for peaceful expression while maintaining social cohesion. For young Tanzanians, the challenge is how to sustain momentum without triggering backlash. Many activists emphasize nonviolence and inclusivity. They frame their demands not as opposition to the state, but as a call to improve governance and accountability. Whether that distinction is accepted by those in power remains to be seen. What is clear is that Tanzania is at a subtle but significant crossroads. This is not a revolution. There are no mass uprisings, no nationwide shutdowns. But beneath the surface, political expectations are shifting. The old social contract, stability in exchange for limited participation, is being questioned by a generation that sees itself as educated, connected, and entitled to a voice. How the government responds will shape Tanzania's political trajectory for years to come. Repression could silence dissent temporarily, but at the risk of deeper resentment. Engagement could channel youthful energy into reform, but only if it is meaningful. The choices made now will also influence East Africa as a whole. As the region grapples with economic uncertainty, demographic pressure, and global geopolitical shifts, the role of youth will be decisive. Tanzania's experience may offer lessons or warnings for its neighbors. For now, the story is still unfolding. The voices of young Tanzanians are growing louder, the state is listening cautiously. And the balance between authority and aspiration is being tested in real time.